Hello, you guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Expand and Evolve podcast. I'm your host, Carly Pinchin, and I'm so excited. I just got back from Austin literally this morning, and I wanted to record this yesterday because I wanted to do it while it was fresh, but I just didn't have the time. Got home really late. And so I wanted to do this right now while it's all fresh. And I'm going to do another episode to share a lot of the things that I learned at the relationship intensive. But this one I wanted to record as like my biggest breakthroughs and just what happened over the course of the last 5 days for me, because it was truly transformational. Like I just I can't. It was so good. So if you guys don't know, I was at a relationship intensive. So what that is basically 3 days of materials, breath work, intimacy exercises, like tons of different stuff to get you to understand relationship better and how to be in relationship better, not only with yourself, but with other people. And so that's what I was at. And while I was there, I went to a healer. I guess you could say like she does body massage and healing. So body work type stuff. I went and saw her, and then we did a journey with psilocybin on the last day. And so the events that led up to how my journey went, I feel like it was all so perfect in terms of like the breathwork session, and then the intimacy sessions, and then the journey and the experience with Tina, which if she has an Instagram, I'll find it and I'll link her in the show notes in case you guys are ever in Austin, want to go see her, because she is seriously magic. But I just wanted to share some of my biggest breakthroughs with you guys, because I know through my own story, it can be so powerful and sometimes unlocks things for you. So sorry, I just hit my mic. Okay. So first of all, I feel like a love bubble. I just feel so good and happy and in my heart and aligned. And like I shed so much. Like I had already let go of a lot, but I was like in this other cycle, I guess you could say, of like almost falling back into old patterns. I hate when I just freshly wash my hair and then it like sticks up the whole episode. It really bothers me. But I was in this, like, I could just feel some things showing up for me. So for example, having to truly let go of my old life or my relationship with Daniel. Like I still had hope. And so I think that was blocking me almost, because it's like, I just need to let it go. Like I'm holding on to an attachment that is not serving me. And so I need to let it go. And I was feeling all of that. I was noticing I was feeling a little bit off in terms of work, because I was like, I think I was going through this ego death maybe of attaching my worth to what I do for work and the results that I have and the income I can bring in, or the growth that I can have in my career, and letting that go. And like now coming from a different energy, like I don't need to succeed to feel worthy. Like I feel like I literally had that ego death there, but it was like really heavy leading up to this event. And obviously when you think of like a relationship intensive, you think like just how it is one-to-one in a relationship, but a lot of that is actually you. It's like, what do you have blocking you and in your way of like truly deepening a relationship, not only with yourself, but with another. And so anyways, those things were kind of showing up for me. And so my first big breakthrough, I would say, is I started to go, oh shit, who are you without your job? Like if you didn't have that, who are you, and are you attached to that? And I went, oof, I think I am a little bit. And it's been making me feel less than to not be in a consistent chasing mode of like more. And so that was the first realization that I had. And then in the breath work, I realized like this was made very clear in my journey. I don't know. They've all kind of blended together, but the feeling that I'm like, no, my worth is my heart. Like that is the thing that is my worth. And like the whole journey has been returning there without all the barriers and the blocks and the things that are in the way. And through doing that, I'm like, oh, like you hear these terms like return to the heart, but until you get there and feel it, like it's just, it can't be explained, you know? And so that was a big one. And then even in the breath work too, we were talking a lot about desires, right? And sex and intimacy and all of these things. And I think it was in one of our intimacy exercises, we had to go up and hug another person. and like allow them for giving and receiving. So like being able to give love fully and then allowing to receive love fully. And in my hug, I was just like, oh my gosh, the amount of times I wish I just had a hug like that. And if you guys can hear this background noise, there's like a machine outside, which could be really annoying in the background. So I apologize for that. But that just kind of solidified for me how much I need to allow myself to receive. And it's really funny because as I was like, oh my gosh, returning to your heart, like that is the thing. That is what makes you worthy. It's your heart. Like there is nothing else. Like when you return to a state of love, that is the most worthy thing you could do because you find the worth in yourself. You find the worth in others. You like see the beauty in life. Like it's just so beautiful when you can get to that place. And I've gotten here, but it's been a mission to keep letting go of all the things that I used to block love from and like not allow. And then also, as I continue to get hurt, now that I've done this work, obviously life is life. There's still painful things. There's still things that hurt or cause pain or cause you to feel upset. But it's like not putting back the barriers, not putting back the blocks and remaining open, basically to a state of like unconditional love. And so anyway, so in that breathwork session, because we were talking about desire and like people were being really open about sexual things that they enjoy and blah, 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 whatever. And it was like, if you have any amount of shame or you haven't fully owned your sexuality, like you're carrying that shame or that part of you that you're hiding within your body. And in the session, I went, oh shit, this is really vulnerable too. But I was like, I think I need to be like, I think I have a desire to be like tied up. That scares me saying it right now. But like deep inside, I'm like, I think I would actually enjoy that. And so I was like, that's wild. And like came through and I was like, oh shit, like I didn't know that was there. And so I could feel a ton of sexual energy through those days, like through the breathwork session. It was just very apparent that it was like brewing within me. And if you guys don't already know the correlation, like your sexual energy is your creative energy. It's like your life force energy. So sometimes we're like, oh my God, I'm so horny. Like not always. Like, yes, it may come as that type of feeling, but it doesn't always mean you have to have sex. So anyways, that showed up. Then what the hell has happened? So then I go to the Tina session. Okay. And first of all, just Austin has my heart. Like it was literally the best ever. So I go to Tina. And I do a session with her and immediately she is like, oh, you had sexual, like she was just very compassionate in the sense of saying like, did you have sexual abuse that you're aware of? And I was like, yeah, I know. And I can feel it. And I think I've stored it in my stomach my whole life. And I'm like, I always struggled to lose weight in my stomach. And I feel like if I can truly let this go and stop holding it in my gut, the fat in my stomach is going to go away. Like I'm literally convinced that this is going to dissipate and go away because I've been holding it there as like a safety net, maybe like my whole life, like since I was pretty young. And so anyway, she went, okay. And when was the first time you feel like you had to disassociate and not feel safe in your body? And I went, oh, like, I know around 6, but I'm like, I think even younger than that. And she was like, yeah, I can feel it. And you've never fully come back. So I've said this before, but I'm really good at disassociating. Like I can disconnect and leave in 2 seconds. Like if something's uncomfortable, I can go out of my body, fully turn into my brain and like go numb, like basically make my entire body numb so I don't have to feel or be in the experience that I'm in. And so she said in some of those moments that were really hard when I was younger that I basically pieces of my soul left. And she's like, they never fully came back. So she was like, you can tell your body now that you're safe. It's okay to feel. It's okay to be in your body. And she was trying to like bring me back in and like call in the pieces of me that I don't have within me, basically, because it's been too scary. And so anyways, go through that. And then I'm feeling all of this pain in my hips. And you know how I told you guys I wanted to go through and start, well, if you saw my Instagram stories, I had said I wanted to start healing my birth trauma. This is right before I went to Austin. And I was like, I realize I have so much I'm holding on to that I need to let go of. And so in that, she was doing like womb stuff. So she sings, she makes sounds, she tones, she does massage. She's doing Reiki. She's using all different modalities to help with the body healing. And so she was toning into my stomach, and the way she put her hands, I could feel it. And my whole body, I was like, oh my God, I felt like I was going to almost be sick. And I forgot to mention that. So in the breath work earlier that day, I literally almost puked. I was choking and almost getting sick. And it was shame, like shame literally leaving my body in regards to my sexuality. And I remembered in that moment, I was like, oh my God, you've been ashamed of your body and your sexuality. The moments I can remember is when I was told I had to cover up in grade 6 from my teacher. Everyone else could wear tank tops. It was hot, sunny days. I wasn't allowed. I was told to wear a sweater. I was told I couldn't wear makeup because I had boobs. And so because of that, I felt shame around my body and being seen, which I think I still have a little bit with my boobs still to this day. Like it's something that I don't feel super comfortable showing. And so anyways, I almost threw up in the breathwork session around the shame. And then when I went to this session, basically I could feel the pain in her, like she was touching my back and my stomach and then near my C-section scar and all these things. And I just started sobbing, like sobbing uncontrollably. I'm like, is it my computer that's making this noise? Anyways, let's see. Anyway, so that just distracted me. I hope it's not being like really okay. Maybe you guys can't hear it. Anyways, yeah, so I was sobbing uncontrollably. And then basically she had told me, she's like, did you know that you're like an angel? Like your background is like these angels and this type. And I was like, okay, it's funny because like to a normal person, I probably sound psycho, but like I kind of knew that. Like I knew that was part of me somehow. Anyways, and so anyway, I don't know. It was crazy. And so we released a bunch of that. I felt so good leaving. I don't know if there was any other big breakthroughs aside from releasing a bunch of that, the sadness I felt, bringing me back into my body and feeling safe within my body. And I feel like that activated a whole bunch of stuff for the journey. And so going through the journey, I wanted to share with you guys everything I learned because when I recorded that other episode, my plant medicine episode, you guys freaking loved it. And the things that I feel like the wisdom that you get from these experiences is just so freaking profound. And so anyways, we all got together. We took the medicine, laid down. When it first hits you, sometimes it feels a little bit like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, how deep is this going to go? Like, how extreme is this going to go? Like, you're like kind of fighting it because you know there's something going through your body. And so a lot of the time, at least for this time for me and the last couple of times, it starts with like a bunch of imagery. Like that's the way it usually starts. And so I was seeing like codes, geometric shapes. I was seeing types of beings. Like I could feel that I was in another realm. Okay. And I've never felt it this clearly that like you're in your body, but you're experiencing different dimensions at the same time and different timelines. And I'm like, I'm starting to get it now. And like, once you have these experiences, you're like, oh shit, like this stuff these people say, like, I get it and I see it. And so anyways, you take the mushrooms and then you lay down on your mat and then you literally just lay there. And we started at like 8:30 in the morning. We came out of it around 1 or 2. So it's like a long process. You're just like, what the hell just happened? This was like an all day thing. So anyways, I lay down, I'm seeing all these shapes and these things. And like the biggest kind of takeaways for me, once I landed, it was like I was in another realm and it was a grandma. I want to say like an abuelita, like a Mexican grandma on my left side and a bunch of family members around me. I don't know what family this is. I don't know what life this is. I don't know. And they were like, oh my gosh, okay, she's here, she's here, she's here. And they were like all so excited. And she's like, you guys give her space, let her rest, let her come through it, give her space, let her come through. And I can hear them talking. It's like as if you like died and then came back. It was crazy. And so I'm laying there and she's like, just let her go on her journey, let her go on her journey. And then there was all of these people that came around. And it's funny because the night before, Tina had said, like, you have psychic abilities. Do you know that? And like was telling me all these things. So I'm like, I kind of know, but I've never tapped in fully. Like I've been told I'm prophetic. I've been like, I can see certain things. And I'm like, no, I'm just telling you, this is the way it is. Not out of like a know-it-all. It's like a knowing. It's just different. And so anyways, she's telling me this. And then in this, I'm laying there. And then all of a sudden it was like, whether you want to call them beings, entities, like whatever you want to call them, they could feel I was now open and I got swarmed with like people wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, this is probably what people feel like that are mediums, when like all of a sudden they all come through and you're like, okay, whoa, 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 chill. And so I was able to lay there, and then like obviously there's like darker energies and you're like, okay, no, you don't get to mess with me. And so I was just like, yeah, no, you're going away. Please stay away from me. And you have the power to do that. I've never had this kind of show up like this before. So I'm like a couple journeys in now. So I'm like, I feel like I'm starting to have different experiences. And honestly, this was the lightest one I've ever had. It wasn't super heavy. I only cried maybe 2 times about a couple things that I was like, oh, like so much compassion and understanding. But basically, the way it started was seeing babies and how they're pure love. Like that's all they know. So if they're not in a body and they exist as like a cosmic energy, let's say, as a soul, it's love. That's all it is. They don't feel pain. They don't feel hurt. They don't feel betrayal. They don't feel anger. They don't feel aggression. They don't feel fear. And so I could feel that. And the empathy I felt for our babies that come into this world, and how if we just looked at them, like all they understand is love. And now they've come out into this world, which is cold, scary, not what they maybe are knowing. This is like it could be their first rodeo here as a human. And they just get like ripped away from the mom, and then they're cord clamped, and then they're like put over here and put over there, and all these things, rather than the peace that they just felt, which should be just on mom. And if you guys have not listened to the birth podcast that Danny just posted with Devonna May, listen to it, because that probably led to some of the things that unlocked for me too. And I was like, if we just had so much compassion for our kids, and we're able to view them as like, they're pure love. That's all they know. And now all of a sudden they're feeling fear for the first time, anger for the first time, experiencing anger and frustration from us onto them, experiencing our energy that isn't always pure love onto them. This is scary. This is what dysregulates the nervous system. And I was able to really see it and get it in a different way, where I was like, okay, the reason that they're like, and they can feel all this energy is because they don't understand. Like all they know is love. And now they're being subjected to all of these different energies, whether it be ours or theirs, because they're like, oh my God, there's like anger showing up and fear showing up and like all of these emotions that they end up feeling, right? And it's normal. It's part of the human spectrum. But if us as parents could give them so much grace in their journey of understanding how to cope with these emotions. And so that was my biggest breakthrough at the first part, was just like, wow, we could be so much gentler with our babies and helping them understand like these emotions that they're experiencing for the first time. So that was kind of like the first one. And then it moved to like when we moved out of my Delta house, and it was showing me like my whole life, and a bunch of memories from where I didn't feel safe. And so different homes that I was in, friends' houses I was in, when my mom would drop me off places, and I had so much compassion for her because I was like, she probably knew it wasn't super safe, but then I was saying I wanted to go. And so she'd have to let me go. And then things would happen where I didn't feel safe. And I was just like, oh, that would be so hard as a mom, like feeling like your kid wants to go here, but you know it's not right, and like whatever. So took me through all of that. And then every time I didn't feel safe, because I realized in one of the intimacy exercises, when it was like fully let go, relax, the last thing to go was my hips and my butt. I didn't even realize I was still tensing them. And so I was like, okay, I carry so much shit here. And I was able to see like all of the times I didn't feel safe. And so I was like smacking my hips and like trying to get it out. Like you are like pulling energy, okay? Because you're all your own healers. You just need to tap in and you'll be able to know that you can do this for yourself. And so I was like moving it out of my hips. I was shaking it out. All of a sudden my body started playing like an instrument, is the only way that I can explain it. Like my hips were moving as if I was like a belly dancer or something. Like they were moving in ways that I'm like, I don't even know how I do this, but when I do mushrooms, this always happens. And it starts like shaking and moving, and my spine becomes like this instrument. And the only way that I can explain is like, it made me realize how much we are like an instrument for life. So our bodies respond to the frequency, the same way that you could play an instrument with musical notes and it like makes sound. The frequencies of sound in our life, or frequencies of energy, play our body. Does this make sense? This is like, so I was able to really see it like, wow, our body is an instrument that like reacts to life, and how much in our Western culture we've lost the importance of moving the hips. And if our hips are our junk drawer of like where we store our life's shit, we need to be shaking that shit up. We need to be moving it. We need to be getting it out. And that's why in so many other cultures, let it be twerking, belly dancing, in like Hawaiian culture, how they do the hula, like all of this has to do with the hips because they understand the importance of getting it out. And we've lost that. Like so many people, sorry, my throat. So many people in just the Western world, like we're so freaking disconnected from life. We're so disconnected from the way things are and should be. And I'm just like, do we just need to go back to living on dirt? Like I literally had a moment where I was like, I'm like with the dirt. Should I just live with the dirt? Like, why do I need tile floor? Why do I need any of that stuff? Why do we create this stuff rather than just like living with the earth and being in peace and silence? Like, what do we need all this stuff for? And then I was talking to the girls after and they're like, well, having nice tile is nice too. I'm like, no, I know. But like, I was like, we literally impose these limitations and all of this like stuff on ourselves that is our own doing. Like, you know, I don't know. And so anyways, I was just shaking it all out, getting it out of my hips, all the moments that I never felt safe in my life, getting it off of me. And then I was like sent into a future timeline of my husband. And I realized because like at the appointment with Tina, she had said to me, do you have any like energetic cords on you? And I'm like, who are you feeling? She was like, I feel like it's your husband. And of course, love him, no bad talking. But she went, it feels like abuse. And I went, no. And I was like, but how do we define abuse? Because I define it based on my first abusive relationship, which was like there was physical, there was emotional, like mental, like there were so many forms of abuse. Where in this relationship, I'm like, but he's nice and it's good. And I was like, yes. And the way I was able to see it was like someone who can't like be emotionally available and I don't know how to say this, like can't show up for you emotionally, can't have any space for your emotions, no space for your expression, no space for you to fully feel heard or seen or understood or loved through your uncomfy emotions or name calling or lying or any of that stuff. Like there's so many forms that like it can still be abuse to your soul. Does this make sense? So even though it wasn't like F you, I mean, there was some moments like that, like you're this, you're that, like tearing you down mentally constantly with words or hitting you. Like even though there wasn't that, it can still be abuse and your soul can feel abused. And honestly, it's almost like self-abuse because you disconnect and like remove yourself. And so anyways, she could feel all that. And that's when I realized I was like, I just need to let this go. Like I need to let it go. I've had hope for it to be something that it's not for years. And I just got to let it go. And I feel honestly free. Like that energetic cord actually might be fully done. I can't confirm because I'll see how I feel in like a week, right? But I feel like it's actually cleared. And so in my journey, my future husband was there and he showed up in my last one, but then he showed up in this one too. And I'm like, I can't wait till I see him in real life. And I'm like, this is effing nuts because I saw you. And anyways, we were like overlooking, we must have been like Europe or something. I don't know. And we're like overlooking the water and he's standing behind me. So I know he's like bigger. And he was so full of life and just like, he's like, this is life, baby. And like so happy and excited and energetic. And I was like, where are you? And he's like, I'm right here. I'm right here. I've been right here the entire time. Like I am right here. And I'm like, I know, but you're not here. Like I want you here now. And he's like, I'm right here. And I was like, can you please come find me? And he was like, okay, I will. But like, he was just like, just exist as you are. Like, it's right here. I'm right here. Like, you're okay. I'm right here. And he started guiding me. And then this is a little bit funny, but I started negotiating with him if I'm like, okay, but in the meantime, until you show up, like, because I had this weird thing where I was like, do I need to stay celibate until marriage? Because like, I want to save myself for this relationship. Honestly, that's how I was feeling. I'm like, I know how sacred and amazing it's going to be. and the work we're going to do together. And so I'm like, do I need to save myself? I was like having this feeling. But then over this last week, I had all of this sexual energy showing up that was almost showing me like, it's okay. It's okay to enjoy pleasure. It's okay to enjoy life. It's okay to enjoy sex. You don't need to have shame around it. This like body count or this person, I'm like, and it made me realize it's the energy you're having sex from. Are you doing it from an empowered place? Not a fake empowered, like I can have sex with whoever I want. No, like you're in control. You're not doing it to try to seek connection. You're not doing it to try to like manipulate and make them like you. You're literally doing it for an exchange between each other, and you're okay with it. Because I always call it sacred energy exchange. And I was under this impression like, oh, you need to be so careful that it's only with this one person. And I was like, no, you can have sacred energy exchange where you're both mutually exchanging energy in a beautiful way. And so I was negotiating with my future husband if he was okay if I ended up sleeping with someone else that's not him. And he was like, you're mine. He kept saying, you're mine, you're mine. Like I was so claimed by him. And he's like, ah, and he was getting so frustrated. And he's like, fine. Yes. Cause I know you're mine. So you can do whatever you want. Cause I know that you're mine. And I was like, okay. And so I had this freeing feeling, and I literally felt so much sexual energy moving through my body this entire journey. It was freaking crazy. And I think the biggest lesson for me was feel. Like tap into your senses, be in your body. This is the first time I think in my life I felt this safe to feel and experience and express and be within that. It was just like so magical. And I kept being like, okay, you took these mushrooms, like get answers. Like what should you do next in business? Or what should you do next? And like, I wanted to like learn things. Right. And then every time I went to ask something, I was like, just lay here. Like you've never really done this where you get to just be fully present in your body, just like enjoying and absorbing and feeling the sensations that are moving through. Like just sit with it, just feel it, just let yourself feel. Your whole life you've run away from feeling, you've disconnected from your body. Come back into your body and let yourself feel. And so I did, and I like fully surrendered to the rest of the experience. And so many people were having really hard experiences. Like I had a few moments where I cried about certain things, and I just laid there and I was like, this feels so good. Like my body was doing whatever it wanted. It was moving, it was dancing, it was shaking. It was literally, there was a guy grunting and groaning in the room. And again, the sexual energy was crazy. It was like a primal sound that I was like liking it. And so I was like, just enjoy it. Like there's nothing to shame or fear. Like if that makes you feel sexual energy, it's okay. If your body feels sexual energy, it's okay. If your hips want to move, it's okay. If you want to get on all fours and like move, it's okay. And like allowing myself to just be within my body and not feel shame. And I felt this like this full understanding of like you know how we hear the word goddess? I was like, no, I get it. We are as women like these magical goddesses, like these temples of life that are meant to be worshipped. And in our society, we've lost this. So many men are so disconnected and like they don't even know or feel confident enough to be able to worship the body. And for us to feel confident and comfortable enough to allow them to worship our bodies. And I was just like, this is the way it's supposed to be. Like so many people are having sex because they like think they should have sex. Like, oh, we're in a relationship. So like the next thing, like make sure you have sex like once a week. And they're doing it, but they're not connected. And so it's leaving their bodies feeling, for some of them, like for some of you even, it's creating, like you're basically abandoning and abusing yourself because you don't actually want it and you don't feel connected and you're doing it because you think you should or you have to please the other person. And it's causing emotional harm and damage to yourself. And it's crushing your soul. And I could see it so clearly how many people have sex like this. They're not having sex how it's meant to be, in the way that you can literally align your breathing, come intimately together because you're connected, and like manifest shit together, like in this beautiful way. where you feel so comfortable and so confident in your body, and you know you're amazing, that you like let them devour you, ravish you. Like these words kept coming through where I was like, that is the way sex is supposed to be. It should be so enjoyable, and neither of you have shame around your pleasure. And I was just like, people are not having sex like this. And this is the way sex is supposed to be. And I could like feel it through my whole body. And then after I was talking about this with one of the girls, and she was like, she grabbed me and looked me in my face, and she was like, you get to have sex with whoever you want, whenever you want. And you need to let go of ever having shame around it ever again. And obviously a bunch of you are probably in relationship, but even in relationship, like, do not have shame. Like, you need to find a way to let go of the shame so that you can really fully experience what sex can be with each other. Like the true intimacy and lovemaking that you guys could be making, connecting you on such a deep level. But that doesn't just come from like quick intercourse. This comes from so many other things that need to happen before you want someone to enter you. And be fully open. If you're not fully open, you're causing damage to yourself and your soul. So have that honest conversation if that needs to happen for you. Yeah. And then I basically just laid there and was like, you have nothing to do. Nothing you do makes you more worthy. Like, you know, they're like, oh, your feminine energy, you're just being, and you just be. And it's like, what the does that mean? What does that mean? I created the Empowered Feminine course, honestly, to help women understand the being from like a not necessarily more masculine perspective, but a more factual perspective of like the things that have disconnected you from being a woman and like your divine power within. And then like what masculine and feminine energies even are, so that you can understand the differences, and then what wounded feminine and wounded masculine energies are, so you can understand how those play a role in your life, and then ways to move into your feminine energy that you can practically and tangibly do. And so I created that course to help women slowly start to get to this place, because once you get here, you guys, it's a journey. You're not going to take the course and like, oh my God, I'm at my heart. It's an unraveling. I've been working at this for honestly since 2021. I started when I was 21 years old, so it's been a decade, but I lost it along the way and then came back to it in 2021. So this is like 3 years later that I've been putting work into this, in like reconnecting my heart, letting go of the barriers, all of the things. And so this journey, I feel like, solidified the true understanding of being. And I was just laying there and I was like, you're literally worthy because of your heart. The thing that you have blocked away for the last decade or more of your life, the thing that you were afraid to feel, the thing that was the most beautiful thing about you, that I had people hurt, and like in life, that's just part of life, right? The things that hurt me that I just blocked and layered around my heart repeatedly over and over and over again, because it was too scary. And I put up walls and barriers. And so I disconnected from my body and my heart. And I just laid there and I was like, the most worthy part about you is your heart. That's nothing outside of you. That's the most valuable thing that you have within you, if you can just learn to connect to it. And as humanity, if more women, like if all of our women got back here, you guys, this world would change, completely change. And we have the power to do that by doing this healing work and reconnecting to ourselves. Something that this world and the way it's operating right now doesn't want you to do. Because if women reconnect there, and obviously you can have your own beliefs around like God and all the things, I see the true value of like Mother Goddess. I used to like, what are these spiritual people talking about? You're so weird. Like, what are you talking about? Mother Goddess, Mother Earth. And I'm like, no, I get it, because we're that too. And I'm like, when you start to get that and our connection to the earth, like you see life differently and our impact and how powerful we are to bring this earth just back to like optimal states of life. Of course, it was 333 and it paused there for like a quick second. So anyways, if you need support in that area, take the course, you guys, because it walks you through, and I give you exercises and things that you can do, reflection points, journal prompts, things to help you start to understand this in a logical way, because most of our brains operate that way. And then you can start to implement them, and eventually you're going to start understanding your own connection to your own intuition, your heart, your desires, manifestation, like becoming magnetic. And in Austin, you guys, I was effing magnetic. Like me getting back to my heart. I had people on the street coming up to me, complimenting me everywhere I went. I went out for lunch with a guy, barefaced, no makeup, which is just confidence in itself. And he was like, "You're so beautiful and so radiant." Like days before that was texting me. He's like, "I need to talk to you. Like I have to talk to you. Um, you're just so beautiful." And like, whatever, was just like feeling all these things and wanted to talk to me about it. And so even in that, it was like, I want to ravish you. What did he say? Like, drink the sweet nectar of your like feminine energy, like all of these things. And I'm like, this is so funny because I was so in my masculine for so long. And when you drop into your heart and your feminine, you literally, this is what I teach in the course too, become a magnet for miracles. And I was walking around like a freaking magnet. Like when you're in your feminine too, you just receive. So I was getting compliments everywhere I went. I had people like looking and staring, and like I could feel it when I was walking around. Nothing different. I've walked around and never gotten that type of attention before. It was an energy and it was exuding out of me in a way that was so light, and it was my heart. And I was like, this is so crazy. You've thought all these other things outside of you. Like, think of it like you put clothes on or a bag or your car or your all this different shit, your makeup, your hair, all this shit that you think makes you worthy. It literally comes from here. When you are in your heart, you become like this. I can't even, it's just a magnet. You like radiate beauty in such a different way. You realize it wasn't about any of that other stuff. None of it. And it's like you have the power to do that within you by helping yourself reconnect there. So if you need support, honestly, the course will help you in starting to lead you down that path. So I'll link it in the show notes. But now that I like had this experience and I reflect on the course that I created, I'm like, this was so valuable and helpful. And I'm so glad that I did that because I get it now. And like this place that I'm in right now, I'm like, I freaking get it. And so I just laid there and like received the energy and the healing and all of it, the music that they were playing. Like I enjoyed all of it. We were singing and it was just so beautiful. This dumb dog is barking. Yeah. And then I had a moment where I was feeling so unbelievably beautiful. And then I got up to go to the bathroom. And when I looked at my skin and I was peeing, I felt like a moment of disgust. And I went, okay, so if I look at myself and I feel disgust, what is that versus like when I'm in my feelings, I can feel beautiful. And I just went, seeing is like an outward thing and feeling is inward. This is what happens when you're on mushrooms. Like that was profound. Seeing is outward, feeling is inward, blew my mind. But it's like when you're in it and you feel these things, you're like, oh my God, like it makes so much sense in your mind. And it just made me realize like the beauty is like we think it's on the outside, but if we can actually tune into our bodies, it's the feelings and the sensations within our bodies that is the beautiful thing. And I realized this all in such a different way. Yeah, that it's just like, it's not, like if we're always using our eyes, we're going to miss it. Like we can see beauty, of course, but like if we're not dropping into our bodies, like if you didn't have eyes, you would feel beauty through the vibration and the sensations through your body. And me looking down at my body, I could be like, oh, ew, because we've been raised with so many things that make us feel imperfect and not pretty and not beautiful. And I went, fuck, like if I just drop that, it's sexy and beauty and all these things are an energy. When you feel sexy, your body's sexy. It doesn't even matter what shape, size, anything you are. When you feel beautiful, it comes out of you. So it's all about like, how can you cultivate those feelings from within? And that's what's going to make it exude and like become this thing outside of you, you know, that other people see. Okay. So let me think, was there anything else? Yeah, I had a moment where I was able to see Daniel as a 6-year-old and like all the moments when I was 6, like crying in my room alone, and all the moments he was 6 crying in his room alone, and how like that version of us attracted each other to each other. And then it was like, but just because we were connected at that point, like, doesn't mean we have to stay together now. So that was crazy. And then when I came out of the journey, I did have a moment too with Maddox where I went through that birth and how much I felt so abandoned, neglected. My power was taken away, bullied, all the things. I was so in that within myself. I wasn't even able to understand and see. Like, I did, but I didn't really see what he was going through as a brand new little baby ripped away from his mom and put in a freaking incubator. Like, and I just went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I just kept saying, I'm sorry. And I can't wait to go. I'm going to go pick him up right now. And just feeling this feeling of, I'm so glad that I have this awareness, because he's not going to become 25 and be like, when my mom, like, she did this to me. It's like, we're going to talk about it. And when he's ready, obviously he'll understand. But it's like, I want to give his body and his soul the feeling of like, I get it. I love you. You're safe. I'm sorry this happened to you now. So that he always knows that, like, the open communication of it and like being able to openly talk about this and just never have it be something weird. Like, yeah, it was pretty traumatic on their side and my side, both births. So Dax is a lot more peaceful, but Maddox's was insane. So I moved through a ton of that. And I know I already said this, but like, when I put my hand on my C-section while I was in the journey, it was such intense pain that I was like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. And I was like, you have to go there. You have to feel it, move through it, and like, let this shit go. Because I want, when I have my next baby, my hips, I want them to be free. I don't want to have shame. I don't want to have sexual shame. I don't want to have shame around my vagina, like the fucking thing that brings life into this world and like gives you so much pleasure. Like, it's insane how much shame we have around our bodies. And even the word vagina, I've heard, is like all spelling to make us have like a bad energy. And people say pussy, but like that word, I don't love that either. So I'm like, I need a new word that feels feminine and beautiful, because none of those words do. So anyways, I know that like I can just feel it. Someone was like, wow, you look so small. And I'm like, yeah, because when you do this work, you drop the shit, you shed it all. I'm like, even in my stomach, I'm like, I won't be surprised, you guys, if I really dropped this shame. Obviously, there's always layers. But if I really dropped this and I've dropped a bunch of my birth trauma, that my stomach is going to start shrinking. Like, I really believe that. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm just excited. And I wanted to give, while this was all fresh, just like a mini update on the journey, because I know I always get a lot of questions. And it's just such a beautiful experience. When I came out of it, there was fresh flowers and we were all giggling and laughing. And like, it's so beautiful because you can be sobbing one minute and then laughing your ass off the next. And like, when you have to get up and go pee, you're still high, but like, it's not high like drugs, right? You have to see it as medicine, but you feel a little bit different. And so if you make eye contact with anyone, like, the weird smile you do because you're like not in it. And I always try not to make eye contact because I'm like, just go back into your own world. But like laughing with friends and just the whole experience, like, it's so beautiful. And when we came out, there was a rose. I want to open my bag. I wish I could like pause this and keep going. But this rose, like, I don't know, they had flowers and I just took this rose and it became like my baby. And I just held this rose to my nose. I'm not kidding you guys, it must have been hours. And then I was like putting it all over my face, putting it to my heart, like praying with this rose and just enjoying all of the senses of like this beautiful rose and the scent of it and the smell of it. And like, there's healing benefits in all of these things on our earth. And we're so disconnected from it. And so anyways, I just like played with that rose and it was so beautiful and amazing. And it just felt so good. And like leaving, I was like, like, I just feel so light and so good. And like this big ball of love and energy and like beauty. Like, life is so beautiful. And the human connection is so beautiful when you just tap into it. So based on that, I will do a recap of everything I actually learned at the relationship intensive in another episode, but I wanted to upload this one right away and just have it be a little bit of my journey recap and the things that I learned, and just remind you guys, like, you're worthy literally for your heart. So if you're chasing worth outside of you, if you're chasing external validation, it's never going to fulfill you. If you're chasing other people, relationships, never going to fulfill you. The only thing that is going to fulfill you is returning to your heart. So if you feel like, and this was me back when I was 21 and I didn't understand, I was like, but I love people. That's my heart. I like know how to love people. That's my heart. And I'm like, no, you got to find a way to drop in and really feel and be within yourself. And when you get there, like, I've talked about self-love for a decade. Of course, my stomach's crawling. Of course, there's going to be moments where I don't feel loving. We're human. But I have such a different, deep respect for my body and myself and the value I have to offer through my heart and my unique expression. Like, I could talk about something that you've heard before, but the way I speak about it could be the thing that resonates. You don't need to compare yourself to other people. You don't need to do anything like anybody else. Just be 1,000% you. And I'm just really excited for this place that I'm in. Yeah, I don't know. I also wrote on here, say yes to my heart. So yes to your heart. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you can feel the love that I feel. Yeah, I'll do a relationship episode. I hope this was just fun to listen to, my journey update. And if you can go to one of Danny's Awakens, you guys, or go to a breathwork session, or go to a healing circle, or go to a healer to start doing this work, even if it feels woo-woo to you, you're going to start to understand that you have all of this power within you all along. You always have. We're just so disconnected, we forget that it's been there this whole time. And yeah, just thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Thanks for tuning into my journey. Thanks for listening to my journey. And I just hope for all of you guys is that me and my journey helps inspire you to go on your own and know that, like, you can tap into this within you. And if you need support, like I said, find a healer, go to Awaken, just do the Empowered Feminine course. Like, that course will help guide you. I do meditations in there, like things that guiding exercises more so to help you connect within. And all of those things can be helpful. Like, I have been diving into this work, and you need to start seeing that the most valuable thing you can do with your money is invest in the most important thing, which is you. When you invest in you and you show, money is just an energetic currency. So when you show money that you respect it and that you respect you, money is going to respect you. And you have that ability by showing with your money what you value. I did an episode on that. Like, what do you value? And if everything else that you're spending money on, none of it's on you, no wonder your life's all effed up. Like, you've got to prioritize you. So be willing to spend money on yourself. I spend so much money on healing, on conferences, on things to better and grow myself. And my life continues to get better, easier, more fulfilling, more joy, more love, more peace, more freedom, because I'm willing to invest in me. It's the most important thing that you can invest in. And if you continue with this excuse that, like, I don't have the money and I can't do this, and like, you're going to continue living in that cycle. You're going to continue living in that way of life. And nothing in your life is going to change until you decide to change where you spend your money. So find a way to invest it in yourself. This isn't the bullshit self-care. Like, oh, I'm getting my hair done and my nails done and my Botox. Like, all that shit can be great. That's not real self-care. That's not finding real love within you. When you heal the stuff in here, if you want to spend your money on all that stuff, that's fine. But if you're not putting any of that money into your own healing and, like, worth internally, it's not going to get you what you're looking for. It might give you, like, a quick, high for a second, but it's not going to give you what you're looking for, which is eventually, like, true love, for yourself and within. So love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I'll record the other one another time. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if this was fun to listen to and like learn about. And I don't know. Thanks for being here. Love you guys.